My mother looked directly at my 7-year-old daughter Emma and said, "You're too young to appreciate Christmas dinner. We're having an adult celebration this year." She said it casually, like she was discussing the weather, while standing in my parents' kitchen on December 18, 2024, at 3:32 p.m. Emma was holding a handmade card she'd spent 2 hours decorating for them. Red and green glitter still dusted her fingernails. I watched Emma's face crumble. Not dramatically. Just quietly, the way kids do when they're trying not to cry in front of adults who've already decided they don't matter. "What do you mean she's too young?" I kept my voice level. Calm. The way you speak when you already know the answer but need them to say it out loud. My father didn't even look up from his newspaper. "Your mother's right. This year's dinner is for the adults. Emma can stay home with a babysitter. Or you can skip it too. Your choice." My sister Rachel leaned against the counter, scrolling through her phone. "Don't make it a big deal, Sarah. She's 7. She won't even remember this Christmas in a few years." Something in me went cold. Not angry cold. Clear. Final. I took Emma's hand. "You're right. She won't remember this Christmas. Because we're not going to be here." I didn't slam the door. I closed it quietly behind us, buckled Emma into her car seat, and drove home in silence while she stared out the window, still clutching that glitter card. That night, after Emma finally fell asleep, I sat at my kitchen table and did something I should have done years ago. I started adding up numbers. Growing up, I learned early that some children are born to be praised and others are born to be useful. Rachel was born in May under favorable stars according to my mother, destined for greatness. I was born in November, during a difficult pregnancy, and apparently that set the tone for everything that followed. Rachel got piano lessons, dance classes, a new car for her 16th birthday. I got a paper route at 12 to pay for my own school supplies. When Rachel brought home a C-, my parents hired a tutor. When I brought home straight A's, my father said, "That's what we expect." I was 14 when Rachel crashed the car, my father's car, the one he'd been saving for 2 years to buy. She was texting while driving, hit a mailbox, caused $4,200 in damage. My parents paid for all of it. They told her everyone makes mistakes. I was 16 when I needed $200 for the SAT prep course that could help me get into a good college. I asked my parents for help. My mother said, "You're the smart one. You'll figure it out." I worked double shifts at Dairy Queen for 3 months. Rachel dropped out of college twice. My parents paid for all 4 years she attended, plus the year she found herself backpacking through Europe. Total cost, approximately $87,000. I graduated summa cum laude from nursing school on a full scholarship I earned myself, worked night shifts to cover rent, and my parents came to my graduation 40 minutes late because Rachel needed help moving into her new apartment. By the time I was 25, I had a good job. Pediatric nurse at Children's Hospital in Seattle, making $68,000 a year. I had my own apartment, paid my bills on time, saved money every month. I was doing exactly what they'd raised me to do: be responsible. Be independent. Don't ask for help. Then my father lost his job. He was 59, worked in manufacturing for 30 years, and the plant closed. No severance. No pension. Just a handshake and a cardboard box of desk supplies. My mother worked part-time at a dental office, making $18.50 an hour. Rachel was 27, living with her boyfriend, working sporadically as a social media consultant, which meant she posted on Instagram and occasionally got paid for it. The call came on a Tuesday. My mother's voice was small, scared in a way I'd never heard before. "Sarah, we need help. Just temporarily. Until your father finds something new." I said yes, because that's what you do for family. That's what I'd been taught, even if I'd never been on the receiving end of that generosity. I started sending $750 a month for their mortgage payment. Then another $200 for utilities when they couldn't afford both heat and electricity. Then $190 for car insurance because Dad needed the car to look for work. Then $400 here and there for emergencies, medical bills, car repairs, property taxes. Temporarily turned into 6 months. Then a year. Then 2 years. My father found a job after 8 months. Warehouse work, $19 an hour, but it was something. They never mentioned stopping the payments. I never asked them to. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself they'd pay me back when things got better. I told myself this was what family did. I met Jake when I was 28. He was an EMT, worked the night shift like me, and we bonded over terrible hospital coffee and the kinds of conversations you have at 3 a.m. when you're both too tired to pretend life is easier than it is. He was kind. Steady. He made me laugh. 6 months later, we moved in together. Jake noticed the automatic payments immediately. He's a spreadsheet person, likes everything organized and accounted for. "You're sending your parents $1,880 a month," he asked, staring at our joint banking summary. "It's temporary," I said. "Sarah, it's been 4 years." I did the math for the first time. Really did it. $1,880 per month. $22,560 per year. For 4 years. $90,240. I stared at that number until it stopped looking like numbers and started looking like something else. A down payment on a house. Emma's college fund. The life I could have been building instead of funding someone else's. Jake didn't push. He just said quietly, "Your money, your choice. But maybe think about what happens when we have kids." 3 months later, Emma came into our lives. She wasn't planned. Jake's ex-girlfriend Melissa had gotten pregnant during a brief reconciliation attempt before we met. Melissa struggled with addiction, in and out of rehab, and when Emma was 3 years old, she showed up at our apartment and asked if we could take her daughter, just for a few weeks, while she got herself together. Those few weeks turned into months. Then Melissa relapsed. Then disappeared. Child Protective Services got involved. Jake's parental rights were clear. Melissa's rights were terminated after she missed her 6th court hearing. And suddenly, we weren't just a couple. We were parents to a confused, scared 3-year-old who'd lived in 4 different homes in 18 months. I loved Emma immediately. Fiercely. Completely. She called me Mama Sarah, and then eventually just Mama, and it felt right in a way nothing else ever had. I brought Emma to meet my parents when she was 4. I thought they'd be excited. I thought maybe this would change something. A grandchild. A fresh start. My mother looked at her for approximately 30 seconds and said, "Well, she's not what I expected." My father asked Jake twice if he was sure Emma was his. "She doesn't look like you. You sure Melissa wasn't stepping out?" Rachel refused to come to Emma's 4th birthday party because it was too far to drive and she didn't really connect with kids. It was a 23-minute drive. But I kept trying. I kept sending the money. I kept showing up for holidays. I kept thinking that eventually, they'd see Emma the way I did, as funny and bright and deserving of love. The payments increased. My father's car needed a new transmission, $2,400. Rachel's boyfriend left her, and she couldn't make rent, $1,200 for 3 months until she got back on her feet. My mother's dental crown, $890. Property tax bill they'd forgotten about, $1,650. My father's hernia surgery copay, $2,100. I kept a running total in a spreadsheet. Not because I wanted them to pay me back, but because I needed to know. I needed to see the number. By December 2024, the total was $124,835.67. That's not a typo. $124,835.67. Over 6 years. Meticulously tracked. Every automatic payment. Every Venmo transfer. Every emergency check I'd overnight. They'd never said thank you. Not once in 6 years. They'd said, "We'll pay you back when things get better," exactly once, in 2019, and then never mentioned it again. 3 weeks before Christmas, I told them we were excited for the family dinner. Emma had been practicing her table manners. She'd picked out a new dress, red velvet with white trim, $34.99 from Target, paid for with her own allowance she'd been saving for 2 months. She wants to help cook, I told my mother on the phone. Maybe she could help with the rolls or set the table? We'll see, my mother said. Non-committal. Dismissive. I should have known then. December 18th. We drove to my parents' house so I could drop off gifts and confirm dinner plans. Emma was vibrating with excitement in her car seat. She'd made cards for everyone. Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Rachel. Each one carefully decorated with markers and glitter and her 7-year-old handwriting that still mixed up some of the letters. We walked into the kitchen. My mother was making coffee. My father was reading the newspaper. Rachel was on her phone. Normal. Mundane. Just another Sunday afternoon. Emma made cards for everyone, I said. Emma held them up, smiling. My mother glanced at them. That's nice, sweetie. She didn't take them. So, Christmas dinner, I continued. What time do you want us here? Emma's been practicing eating slowly and using her napkin properly. She's really excited. That's when my mother said it. You're too young to appreciate Christmas dinner. We're having an adult celebration this year. The room went silent. Even Rachel looked up from her phone. Emma's smile faded. What does that mean? It means, my father said, still not looking up from his newspaper, that this year's dinner is for grown-ups. You can stay home with a babysitter. Emma looked at me. Did I do something wrong? No, baby, I said. You didn't do anything wrong. My sister finally spoke. Don't make it a big deal, Sarah. She's 7. She won't even remember this Christmas in a few years. Besides, it's not like she's really part of the family anyway. She's not blood. That sentence hung in the air. Not blood. As if love was only chemistry. As if Emma didn't count because she hadn't been born into this family, she'd just been loved into it. I looked at my mother. Is that how you feel? That Emma isn't part of this family? My mother sighed. We're not saying that. We're just saying it would be easier this year to have an adult dinner. You know how she is, she gets fussy, she's picky with food, and frankly, Sarah, you're always so focused on her that we barely get to talk to you. She's 7 years old. Of course I'm focused on her. Exactly, my father said. Which is why it's easier if she stays home. Emma's hand tightened around mine. She was trying not to cry. I could feel her shaking. Come on, I said quietly. We're leaving. Don't be dramatic, Rachel said. I didn't respond. I took Emma's hand and walked out. In the car, Emma was silent for the first 10 minutes. Then, quietly, they don't like me. That's not true. Yes, it is. I heard Grandma tell Aunt Rachel last month that I was too much work. I heard her say I wasn't worth the trouble. I pulled over. Right there on the side of Route 522, hazard lights flashing. I turned around in my seat and looked at my daughter. Emma, listen to me. You are worth everything. Every single thing. Do you understand? She nodded, but she was crying. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Emma's face when my mother said she was too young to appreciate Christmas. I kept hearing Rachel's voice, she's not blood. I opened my laptop at 11:47 p.m. Jake was asleep. Emma was asleep. The house was silent. I pulled up my spreadsheet. The one I'd been keeping for 6 years. Every payment. Every amount. Every date. $124,835.67. I'd paid their mortgage for 6 years while they told my daughter she wasn't worth a seat at the dinner table. I'd covered their utilities, their insurance, their emergencies, their debts. I'd sacrificed vacations, delayed buying a house, put off saving for Emma's college fund. For people who thought my daughter wasn't blood enough to matter. Something shifted. That thing that had been bending for years, accommodating, understanding, forgiving, it didn't bend anymore. It snapped clean in half. I opened a new tab. Chase Bank. Logged in. Account settings. Recurring payments. $750 per month. Parents' mortgage. Status. Active since February 2019. I clicked at it. I clicked cancel. A confirmation box appeared. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? I clicked yes. Status. Canceled. $200 per month. Parents' utility assistance. Status. Active since June 2019. Click. Cancel. Confirm. Canceled. $190 per month. Parents' car insurance supplement. Status. Active since March 2020. Click. Cancel. Confirm. Canceled. $400 per month. Rachel's temporary housing assistance. Status: active since September 2022. 27 months of temporary. Click. Cancel. Confirm. Cancelled. $180 per month. Parents' health insurance premium assistance. Status: active since January 2023. Click. Cancel. Confirm. Cancelled. Total: $1,720 per month. $20,640 per year. I closed the laptop. The silence felt like oxygen. The next morning, I called my bank. I need to change my account security settings. I removed my parents as authorized users. Changed my password. Updated my emergency contacts. Set up fraud alerts. Changed my PIN. Made sure no one but Jake and I could access any of our accounts. Then I called my attorney, Michelle Rodriguez, the lawyer who'd helped us with Emma's adoption paperwork. I need a cease and desist letter. Actually, I need two. One for my parents, one for my sister. What happened? Michelle asked. I told her. Everything. The years of payments. The exclusion. The comment about Emma not being blood. Do you have documentation? Michelle asked. 6 years worth. Every payment. Every text message asking for money. Every promise to pay me back. Every email. Everything. Send it to me. I'll have the letters ready by Wednesday. I compiled everything. Bank statements highlighted with every payment to my parents and sister. Text messages. Emails. A spreadsheet with dates, amounts, and running totals. I created a PDF. 63 pages. Then I did something else. I wrote an email. The subject line: financial documentation and relationship closure. I sent it to my parents, Rachel, and 15 extended family members. Aunts, uncles, cousins. People who'd witnessed years of my family treating me like a checkbook and Emma like an inconvenience. The email was factual. No emotion. Just data. Over the past 6 years, I have provided $124,835.67 in financial support to my parents and sister. This includes mortgage payments, utility assistance, car insurance, medical expenses, and numerous emergency loans. Attached is complete documentation with bank statements and correspondence. On December 18, 2024, my parents informed my 7-year-old daughter Emma that she would not be included in Christmas dinner because she is too young to appreciate it and, in my sister's words, not blood. Effective immediately, all financial support has been terminated. I will not be attending any family events. Do not contact me, Emma, or Jake. Any attempts to contact us will be documented and, if necessary, reported to authorities. All financial documentation is attached for your review. I attached the 63-page PDF. I hit send at 6:47 a.m. on December 19th. Then I booked tickets to Disney World, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot. 4-day park hopper passes. A room at the Contemporary Resort. Breakfast reservations at Cinderella's Royal Table. The works. Total cost, $4,200. Jake stared at me when I showed him the confirmation. Are you serious? Completely serious. We leave December 23rd. We'll be at Disney for Christmas. Emma literally jumped up and down when we told her. Really? Really, really? Really, really, I said. No adults who don't want us there. No people who think you don't matter. Just us three and Mickey Mouse. She hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. The first text came at 7:15 a.m. My mother, call me back. This is ridiculous. 7:23 a.m. My father, you're overreacting. You always overreact to everything. 8:45 a.m. Rachel, are you seriously trying to ruin mom and dad's lives because you're mad about one dinner? Family helps family, Sarah. I blocked all 3 numbers. 9:17 a.m. My mother called Jake. He didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Tell Sarah to call me immediately. She's being immature and spiteful. We're her parents. She can't just abandon us. Jake blocked her number. By noon, I had 32 missed calls from various family members. I didn't answer any of them. But I did get one call I answered. Aunt Linda, my mother's sister. She'd always been kind to me, even when no one else was. Sarah, she said quietly. I read your email. All of it. Including the attachments. Okay. I had no idea. None of us did. Your mother told everyone you were doing well and helping out occasionally, but she never mentioned the amount or the frequency. I'm sure she didn't. What you did cutting them off, some people are going to say it was harsh. I know. I'm not one of those people. What they did to Emma was unforgivable. And what they've done to you for years. That's financial abuse, Sarah. That's exploitation. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until that moment. Thank you, I whispered. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. You and Emma and Jake. I hope Disney is magical. She was the only family member who didn't demand I apologize or reconsider. December 23rd. We flew to Orlando. Emma had never been on a plane before. She pressed her face against the window for the entire flight, watching clouds and tiny cities and the ocean. We spent Christmas Eve at Magic Kingdom. Emma met every single princess. She rode Space Mountain twice. She ate a Mickey Mouse ice cream bar for lunch and churros for dinner, and we didn't care because it was Christmas and she was happy. Christmas morning, we had breakfast at Cinderella's castle. Emma wore her red velvet dress, the one she'd planned to wear to my parents' house. She looked beautiful. Happy. Safe. This is the best Christmas ever, she said, chocolate on her face, tiara on her head. Jake squeezed my hand under the table. Meanwhile, back in Seattle, things were falling apart. My mother's mortgage payment was due December 20th. The automatic payment didn't process. On December 27th, she received a late payment notice. $750 payment plus $75 late fee. The utility company sent a disconnect notice on December 29th. 3 days without payment. Final notice, $200 plus $25 reconnection fee. The car insurance lapsed on December 31st. They received a notice from the DMV about driving with no insurance. My father called the bank to dispute the missed payment. The bank informed him the automatic payment had been canceled by the account holder, me, and they couldn't reverse it without my authorization. Rachel's rent was due January 1st. Her bank account had $47 in it. She called her landlord crying, asking for an extension. He gave her until January 5th. I know all this because Aunt Linda kept me updated. Not to guilt me, just to prepare me for what was coming. January 2nd, my mother posted on Facebook, "Family is everything. Sometimes the people you sacrifice the most for turn their backs on you when you need them most. Heartbroken this holiday season. Please keep us in your prayers." 17 people commented with hearts and sympathies. I didn't respond. Jake did. He posted screenshots. Bank statements showing 6 years of payments. Text messages showing my parents asking for money. Screenshots of the email I'd sent with full documentation. One sentence, "Here's the context she forgot to mention." The comment section exploded. She was paying your mortgage and you kicked her kid out of Christmas dinner? $124,000 over 6 years, and this is how you treat her? Family is everything except when it's an adopted grandchild? Disgusting. My mother deleted the post within 2 hours. But screenshots live forever. Half our extended family shared it. January 5th, Rachel was evicted. She moved back in with my parents. January 12th. My parents' utility company shut off power for non-payment. They'd racked up $425 in late fees and reconnection charges. My father had to borrow money from his brother, my Uncle Tom, to pay it. Uncle Tom read him the entire email I'd sent first. January 18th. Their mortgage servicer sent a notice. 30 days to cure default or foreclosure proceedings would begin. My mother called Jake from a borrowed phone. She was crying. "Please. We're going to lose the house. You have to talk to Sarah." "No," Jake said. "I don't. This is cruel. This is vindictive. She's punishing us. She's protecting her daughter. There's a difference. Emma isn't even hers. She's not blood." Jake hung up. He blocked that number too. January 30th. My parents listed their house for sale. They had no choice. They couldn't make the payments. They couldn't get anyone else to loan them money. Family members who'd always enabled them suddenly had tight budgets and unexpected expenses. Funny how that works. The house sold in 3 weeks. They made enough to pay off the mortgage and walked away with $18,000. They moved into a 900-square-foot apartment near the highway. 2 bedrooms. Rachel got one. They got the other. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Rachel's boyfriend, the new one she'd been dating for 3 months, broke up with her. Apparently, living with her parents and having no money wasn't attractive. March 2nd. My mother texted from another borrowed phone. Emma's birthday is coming up. We'd like to send her a card. I responded, no. Do not contact my daughter. Do not send cards. Do not attempt any communication. This is your final warning. March 15th. Emma turned 8. We threw a party at our house. 20 kids from her school, pizza, cake, a bounce house in the backyard. She was radiant. My parents and Rachel were not invited. They didn't try to come. April came. Then May. Then June. In July, something unexpected happened. My father had a heart attack. Nothing massive, a mild one, the doctors said. But serious enough for a 3-day hospital stay. My mother called Jake. Not to ask for money. Just to tell us. I thought you should know, she said. In case you cared. Jake told me. I felt something. Not what I expected. Not concern, exactly. More like an echo of concern. A memory of when I would have cared. Do you want to visit him? Jake asked. I thought about it for a long time. Days, actually. Then I realized, no. I didn't want to visit him. Not because I was still angry, though I was. But because I had nothing to say to him. No words that would change anything. No forgiveness I was ready to offer. No relationship I wanted to rebuild. Some people believe family means showing up no matter what. That blood requires loyalty. That you forgive and forget because that's what good people do. I used to believe that too. Now I know family is a choice, not an obligation. It's now October 2025. Almost a year since that Christmas dinner invitation was revoked. Here's where we are. Jake and I bought a house. 3 bedrooms, a yard, in a good school district. Emma has her own room. Yellow walls, white furniture, peace. We closed on it in August. The down payment, $45,000. Money I saved in 11 months after I stopped funding my parents' life. Emma is thriving. She made the honor roll last semester. She's in the school play Annie Jr., and she's playing one of the orphans. She takes gymnastics on Tuesdays and art class on Thursdays. She has friends. She laughs every single day. Jake proposed last month. Emma was the one who told me to say yes. She'd known he was planning it for weeks. He'd asked her permission first, because that's the kind of man he is. My parents still live in that apartment near the highway. My father works part-time at Home Depot. My mother still works at the dental office. Rachel got a job at Starbucks after unemployment ran out. She's 30 years old, living with her parents, making $16.50 an hour. Last week, my mother sent an email. The subject line, "Can we talk?" I didn't open it for 3 days. When I finally did, it was 6 paragraphs long. The summary, they're sorry. They miss me. They miss Emma. They want to be part of our lives again. They realize they made mistakes. They hope I can forgive them. They hope we can be a family again. They didn't mention the money. Not once. They didn't acknowledge saying Emma wasn't blood. They didn't apologize for excluding her from Christmas. Just vague words about mistakes and regrets and hoping for second chances. I haven't responded. I don't know if I will. Jake asked what I'm feeling. Honestly, I'm not sure. Sometimes late at night after Emma's asleep, I question if I went too far. If I should have handled it more privately, more quietly, with less visible destruction. If maybe I could have just set boundaries without cutting them off completely. Then I remember her face that day. 7 years old, holding those homemade cards, asking if she'd done something wrong. They had 8 years to treat me like family. $124,000 worth of chances. They had 8 years to treat Emma like she mattered. 8 years to show up for her birthdays, her school events, her milestones. 8 years to love a little girl who desperately wanted to be loved by them. They chose not to. Over and over and over again. People tell me constantly to forgive, to think about family, to consider that they're struggling, to remember they raised me, to give them another chance, to model compassion for Emma's sake. But Emma is my family. Emma is who I protect first, last, and always. I learned something important. Enabling cruelty in the name of keeping the peace just teaches cruel people that their behavior works. It tells them they can keep taking and hurting and manipulating because someone will always clean up the mess. Someone will always sacrifice their own peace to preserve the illusion of family. Some people believe family means unconditional forgiveness. That blood requires loyalty no matter what. That you owe your parents endless chances because they gave you life. I used to believe that too. Tried to believe it anyway, even when every interaction proved otherwise. Now I know love without respect isn't love. It's exploitation. And family isn't about who shares your DNA. It's about who shows up, who chooses you, who protects you, who makes you feel safe. Emma knows she's loved. She knows she's chosen. She knows she matters. Not because of anything she did or any blood running through her veins, but because she exists, and that's enough. That's more than I ever got from my parents. And it's everything I swore I'd give her. So will I reconcile with my parents? Maybe. Maybe never. Maybe someday when Emma's older and I can trust them not to hurt her again. Maybe when they actually acknowledge what they did and why it was wrong. Maybe when I'm sorry comes with understanding instead of excuses. But here's what I do know. I deleted their numbers. Changed my passwords. Canceled those automatic payments. Drew a line so clear even they couldn't miss it. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. People always say you'll regret cutting off family. That one day you'll wake up and wish you had done things differently. That blood is thicker than water, and eventually you'll realize what you've lost. That hasn't happened. Not once. Because I finally understand something I should have realized a long time ago. Some people will never change. Some people will take and take and take until there's nothing left. And the only way to survive is to stop giving. To stop hoping. To stop setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. They don't get to exclude my daughter from Christmas and call it preference. They don't get to take 6 years of financial support and call it family obligation. They don't get to hurt us repeatedly and call it love. Not anymore. Emma is tucked into her bed right now, in her yellow room, in our house, safe and loved and wanted. Tomorrow she has gymnastics and then we're going to make Halloween decorations because that's what we do now. We make new traditions. We build our own family. We choose joy. And sometimes late at night, when the house is quiet and I'm sure of my choices, I think about that Christmas at Disney World. Emma's face when she met Cinderella. The way she laughed on Space Mountain. How she said it was the best Christmas ever. We didn't need the people who didn't want us there. We never did. So was I wrong for cutting them off completely? Did I go too far or not far enough? Have you ever had to choose yourself over family? Have you ever drawn a line that couldn't be uncrossed? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this hit close to home, hit that like button and subscribe. More stories of people who finally said enough coming every single day. Because sometimes, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. And teaching your daughter that her worth doesn't depend on other people's approval, that's